Pirate I was dug up by Robin, Chapter 641 to 660. Chapter 641 Fish Man Island shakes. Neptune's excitement. Open black lens bracket for subscription. Close black lens bracket. Fish Man Island. A magnificent dragon-carved palace is suspended above the sky. This is the most prestigious place on Fish Man Island, Dragon Palace. The ruler of the royal family of Fish Man Island, who lives in the city, belongs to the Neptune line. Lord King, something is wrong. Your Majesty, there is a first-level event happening. The Catfish Left Minister, who manages the civilian jobs, and the Hema Right Minister, who manages the military, rushed into the palace hall of Ryugu Castle at the fastest speed at almost the same time. What kind of emergency has happened? Minister Left, Minister Right, please tell me carefully. Coelacanth Fish Man with lush shaggy orange hair and beard, the majestic mouth of King Neptune of Fish Man. Behind King Neptune were 3 young mermen. They are the 3 princes of Fish Man Island, Shark Star, Dragon Star and Roller Star. Minister Right, this alarm. What the hell happened? The great Prince Shark Star asked anxiously, frowning. Lord Neptune, the 3 princes, are the Sea Kings. The Sea Kings are coming towards our Fish Man Island. The left minister of the Catfish opened his mouth in panic. Hear the words. Neptune and the 3 princes couldn't help but stare at each other. The left minister of the Sea King class, did you make a mistake with Doremi? The second Prince Longxing asked with a surprised look on his face. Yes, in this deep sea, the Sea Kings are the most common, but there are dozens or hundreds of them passing by our side every year. There should be nothing to make a fuss about. The 3 princes overturned the star and echoed the road. It's not the same, it's really different. According to the news from the Immigration Department, the super large Sea King did not just pass by, but came straight to our Fish Man Island. Hema Right Minister Road. Impossible, absolutely impossible. The great Prince Shark Star shook his head resolutely. Left and right, Minister, there must be something hidden in this. The Sea Kings will never attack our Fish Man Island. Shark Star definitely spoke. That's right, because our Shirahoshi is. The 3 princes overturned the stars and danced, and the reason. Critical moment, the second Prince Longxing quickly covered his mouth and sang a doremi to ease the embarrassment. Well, as Shark Star said, Haiduo will not come to our Fish Man Island for no reason. His daughter Shirahoshi nodded affirmatively. This. The right minister of Hema and the left minister of Catfish were also confused at the moment, and looked at each other. Although I don't know the source of the confidence of the king and the princes, but since the king said so, there must be a basis for it. Report. At this moment, another Fishman soldier was in a hurry and ran into the palace hall. Soldier, what's the matter? Are the Sea Kings from outside the island gone? The minister of Right Hippocampus asked anxiously. No. The Fishman soldier shook his head. Then what are you in such a hurry to report? Asked the left minister of Catfish. It's human, here comes the human. Fishman soldiers reported loudly. Human. Left and right, the minister, plus Neptune and the 3 princes are all confused. It's the legendary hero of human beings, and that super large Sea King is just the mount of the hero Roland. The Fishman soldier shouted, and informed the senior officials of Fishman Island in the field of the shocking news from the Immigration Bureau. With the cry of the Fishman soldiers falling, the huge palace hall fell into absolute silence. After a moment of silence. What did you say? The right minister of the Hippocampus and the left minister of the Catfish opened their eyes in unison, and they jumped 3 feet high in shock. The whole person was shocked beyond measure by the news reported by the Fishman soldiers. The legendary hero Roland. Is that the person mentioned by the Queen Mother? Hero Roland, he is the one that Tiger's boss and mother-in-law used to be when they were young. The savior. Shark Star, Dragon Star and Rollover Star 3 are also shocked. They are no strangers to the name Roland. Not just because of the overwhelming news coverage some time ago. As early as more than 10 years ago, when they were still children of a few years old, they had learned this name from their mother more than once. Even 10 years ago, when Princess Otahime was alive, the example used to persuade the people to believe in human beings is also related to Luo Lin's deeds. The legendary hero, the Queen's hero, Doremi trembles. Dragon Star dances. I want to see, I want to see, I want to see the hero who saved my mother. The rollover star flipped 2 somersaults. Father King. The always mature and steady elder brother Shark Star is also eager at this moment. Roran, my friend, after so many years, you are finally back. Neptune took a deep breath, his eyes shining brightly. Left and right, Minister, Shark Star, prepare the Phoenix boat, I will go to meet it in person. Chapter 642 Super Large Sea King Party. Meet the Twin Kings. Open black lens bracket for subscription. Close black lens bracket. Fishman Island, Frontier Entrance. A flat snake head the size of a hill stood upright. The 5,000-meter scale black snake stands quietly and well-behaved in front of the main gate of Fishman Island. The snake letter swallowed, the seawater surged, causing ripples on the double-layered bubble wrap. Such a terrifying picture, the Fishman soldiers who were frightened at the entrance all widened their eyes in horror. The two battled, knees weak, and the body involuntarily swayed. They live in the 10,000-meter deep sea all the year round, and they have definitely dealt with the Sea Kings a lot. That's such a close encounter with a super large Sea King is like today. And this super large Sea King was motionless, just staring at them so directly, as if thinking about where to start self-help. This is really a test of their heart's endurance. Without a big heart, it really can't bear it. Click, suddenly. There were footsteps. It was clearly in the deep sea, but it was still so clear. Attracted the attention of every Fishman soldier in the room who was terrified to the point of sluggishness. Look, there is someone on the Sea King class. A sharp-eyed Fishman soldier put down his hands covering his mouth and exclaimed first. Following him, the other Fishman soldiers also noticed the presence of the Sea King's head. Immediately, those eyes that were already widened in panic opened further, as if the corners of the eyes were about to split. Wait. That person, I have an impression. That man, I remember as if. He is. Fishman soldiers at the immigration have recognized the identity of the little black snake on the head of Roland. The faces that were originally occupied by fear were gradually replaced by emotions called shock. He's that human hero in the big event. Hero Roland. Finally. Fishman soldiers at the immigration couldn't help shouting in shock. The whole person froze in place, unable to move, not daring to move. Soldier, please help us go through the formalities for entering the country. Roland had to remind him aloud. Hearing Luo Lin's urging, the soldier in charge of today's immigration control suddenly softened his feet and fell to his knees involuntarily. In this regard, Rollins is also quite helpless. The name of a person, the shadow of a tree. No matter how ordinary he behaves, he is kind to others. In the hearts of the world, he is always the most terrifying person above the sea. The existence above the 4 emperors. Such a big man actually came to Fishman Island and was approached by a small gatekeeper like them. Fear, horror, surprise and more unspeakable emotions intertwined. How to keep them calm. Roro, Lord Luo Lin, I am very sorry. Fishman soldiers guarding the gate shouted in fear. Formalities, rules and the like were all left behind, and the entrance to the country was open to greet them as soon as possible. It's work. Roland smiled and nodded. This move once again shocked all the Fishman soldiers, trembling with excitement. After all, this is the greeting and approval from the king on the top of the sea. There is this time, enough for them to blow with friends around them for a lifetime. Xiaohei, you can go back now. Roland spoke calmly. Summer Lala. The 5,000-meter level little black snake and snake letter side, responded with a sound, and put down the coated boat and smoothly. Go away. Roland waved. Drive the coated boat straight to Fishman Island. Watching Roland walk away, the 5,000-meter level little black snake flicked its tail, bringing up a turbulent dark building. It didn't take a moment to disappear into the depths of the dark sea. But this time, the little black snake did not return to his hometown without wind, as Luo Lin said. After half a day, the 5,000-meter level black snake came to an underwater ruin that resembled a broken altar. Circles of strange ripples carried the will of the little black snake to all directions. In about a quarter of an hour, the pitch-black sea surged violently. Not just in one place, but in every direction. The darkness, there seemed to be some behemoth dancing. Hey, you specially called us here, what's the matter? The ripples in the sea rise again. A voice that can only be understood by super-large sea kings and some gifted humans echoes in the sea. Accompanying the voice came a super-large white sea snake like a white dragon. I'm sleeping comfortably here. If nothing happens, I'll definitely bite and kill you. The super-large sea kings with black and white stripes like zebras appeared. Hey, do you have anything to eat? Blank expression, the purple-haired penguin, who was not very smart at first glance, stepped on the water. In addition, there are super-large flatfish with bulging eyeballs, deep-sea frogs, and sea kings with 100-meter fangs and scales like peacock feathers. 9 super-large sea kings gathered, like a group of demons dancing wildly. Everyone, listen to me, that human man is back. He's on Fishman Island right now, and he should meet Princess Shirahoshi soon. Would you like to go see it together? The 5,000-meter level little black snake opened its mouth. What did you say? Nani? ... Chapter 643, the female version of Luffy. Yamato's flashy, open black lens bracket for subscription. Close black lens bracket. After walking through the turbulent water channel at the entrance of the country for a while, the front suddenly became clear. Boom, sounded softly. The coating that had persisted for a long time in the 10,000-meter deep sea suddenly burst, raising a rainbow in the air. Fishman Island, here I come. Boat. Yamato took a deep breath, spread his arms wide, and let out a pleasantly surprised cry like the female version of Luffy. He. Stern, Roland Vivi Isho, looked around with a little nostalgia on his face. After so many years, the island is still as fresh and natural as ever. And it's much quieter now than it used to be. That used to be occupied by all kinds of pirate ships, but today there are only 3 or 2 cats and dogs. Who can escape from the interception of the new Fishman pirates do have some means. But in Roland's eyes, they are still just kittens and dogs. As long as the kittens and dogs can stay calm and not cause trouble with their tails tucked, Roland doesn't bother to pay attention to them. It's rare to visit again after decades. Roland didn't want to be spoiled again. Mr. Roland, where shall we go first? Yamato looked at Roland with excitement and hope. I have seen in Mr. Odin's logbook that this Fishman Island has many interesting places, the Dragon Palace where the royal family is located, and the Fishman Cultural Hall, which carries the history of Fishman Island, by the way. There are also 2 historical texts hidden in the place called Heiseisen, one of which is still a red road sign historical text. Yamato said in a showy tone. Historical text, if it's the little girl Robin, it should be very interesting. Roland thought to himself. Then he shook his head slightly. The historical text of Sea Forest was not very attractive to him. As early as 40 years ago, he had gone to see it once. Joy Boy's Confessions, nothing new. The red road sign is somewhat interesting in this article, but now it has disappeared. Where did he go? Roland plans to ask Neptune later. Looking at Luo Lin's lack of interest and the frowning eyebrows under the mask. After a while, Yamato seemed to have thought of something, and his pretty face came alive again. I thought of it. What? I know there's a place that Mr. Rollins will be very interested in. Yamato Mystery Isho. Roland Vivi raised an eyebrow. A man's paradise, a mermaid bay where mermaids play. Yamato giggled. Oh. Roland nodded with interest. He, I knew it. Yamato had a clear look, and then naturally took Luo Lin's right arm. Then Mr. Roland, it's not too late, use your ability to go over and have a look. Yamato urged expectantly. Big and little girl, there is a man's paradise. You are a little girl's family to join in the fun and go to play elsewhere. Rollins joked. Mr. Roland, it is also a man below, and there is also a paradise below. Yamato pretended to have a low voice and said solemnly. As a man, Yamato's muscles are a little too exaggerated. Roland squinted. Ah, Mr. Roland, yes. Yamato hurriedly folded his arms. After a while, Yamato seemed to have thought of something, and a firm look flashed across his face. Then, before Luo Lin could react, he decisively grabbed Luo Lin's big hand. Men should not care about this kind of behavior at all. You see, Mr. Roland, I don't care at all, so I am also a man. Yamato resisted a certain emotion in his heart and spoke firmly with a trembling voice. Roland. This little girl's brain circuit is really strange. Not bad though. That's all, I am afraid of you. After a moment of stalemate. Before the smoke above Yamato's head, Luo Lin shook his head with a smile, stopped teasing, and agreed. Really? Hearing this, Yamato's eyes suddenly lit up. If you're ready, let's go. Roland grabbed Yamato's arm with a backhand. Take one step. The two of them were no longer on the boat. In a moment. Mermaid Bay is here. Chapter 644 Yamato was molested. Open black lens bracket for subscription. Close black lens bracket. Sun is mild, and the white clouds are in pieces. Occasionally, a few surf swelled up on the calm sea. Colorful deep-sea corals are scattered. Plus the mermaids with different postures scattered in the bay. More and more, this place seems to be a fairy tale world that exists only in dreams. This is Mermaid Bay, a man's paradise. Everywhere in the magnificent bay, one after another graceful mermaids stood out, revealing the curves, dizzying. Manfish with long blue hair reaching to the waist, fair skin, and wearing a sunflower flower ornament on the head, with long black curly hair and double ponytails, freckles on the face, and black and white straight scales on the tail. Mermaid with long wavy green hair, flounder fish man with a head flower and two necklaces, flounder fish man with pink wavy hair with straight bangs. Roland and Yamato, the mermaid girls playing in the bay, were not disturbed. They just sat quietly on the reef and admired the beautiful scenery in front of them. Wow, this is the Mermaid's Bay, it's really beautiful. Yamato exclaimed, a pair of beautiful eyes shining under the mask. Mr. Roland, this is a man's paradise. With Mr. Roland's identity and status, there are handsome, those mermaid ladies should be rushing to surround them. Yamato blinked his beautiful eyes and joked. Miss Da, you are really capable, even I dare to make fun of you. Roland grinned in a friendly arc. Ah, don't, I was wrong, I don't dare anymore. Yamato, who was keenly aware of the danger, hurriedly squatted with his head in his hands. Hee. Roland raised his hand and touched Yamato's hair lightly. This little episode also caught the attention of the mermaids in the bay. When they saw two humans who appeared on the reef at an unknown time, the mermaid girls in the bay subconsciously gathered together and looked at them curiously. Hey, the two little brothers over there, don't you plan to come over to play and take a picture? Fishman with long green wavy hair made a bold invitation. Kaylin. Don't. We don't know who they are yet. The other timid mermaid girls on the side were all worried. This is no wonder. After all, every year due to human reasons, there are endless incidents of missing young fish in the bay. Don't know the details of the other party, it is also good to guarantee. Sorry, but those two humans don't look bad. The careless place fish man Kalian apologized apologetically. How do you know they don't? Asked the beautiful fish man Fish Merlo. Intuition. Mermaid Kalian said seriously. The mermaid girls around, Putong, and, putong, fell into the water without a word. But then again, they are really different from ordinary humans. They just sit there and watch. Are they afraid of scaring us? Ithili, a mermaid with a few freckles on her face, opened her mouth curiously. That's right, or maybe they're still cute and innocent boys. In that case, big sister, I really want to play with them. Place Fishman Kalian said with a smirk. When the other mermaid girls thought about it, they all nodded subconsciously. Then it's decided, little human buddies, come and play. The warm greetings of the mermaid girls resounded across the bay. Hey, Mr. Roland, those mermaid ladies seem to be calling us. Yamato asked tentatively. Oh, then you go over there. Roland said casually. Am I alone? Yamato pointed to himself. Aren't you trying to prove to me that you are a qualified man? Right now, when it's time for the test, do your best. While Luo Lin was talking, he lay down slowly with his hands resting on the back of his head. Okay, then I'll go. Yamato nodded firmly, stretched out his long legs, and strode toward the bay. As Yamato approaches, was only until the mermaid girls like Isoli, Kalian, and Merlo finally realized that things seemed to be different from what they had imagined. When looking at it from a distance, Luo Lin and Yamato on the reef are the little one. However, after they got close, they realized that the other party was a petite boy, clearly a little giant, who is more than 3 meters tall like Roland, naturally exerts a lot of pressure on the petite mermaids. Coupled with the bonus of the evil ghost mask, it was even more frightening that some of the mermaid girls hurriedly dived under the surface of the water, not daring to emerge. But the people were called by themselves, and it would be too rude if they escaped. And it will ruin the name of the Mermaid Cafe. Hey, Mello, Isoli, Sierra, look carefully, this little brother doesn't seem to be a little brother. Mermaid Kalian looked up and down. Yamato on the shore came to an astonishing conclusion. Really? If that's the case, then there's nothing to be afraid of. Even though the whole body was covered with a large kimono, the mermaid girls were able to distinguish Yamato's gender from every detail. Ladies mermaid, what's the matter? Big and deep opening. A group of fish looked at each other, and the corners of their eyes curved a sly arc. Women dress men. It was the first time they had met such an interesting thing. Seems like it's worth playing. Accompanied by the sound of crashing. The bold flounder fishman Kalian jumped up from the water, went straight up, and hugged Yamato. Yamato. Chapter 645 Naive and Online Madness. Open black lens bracket for subscription. Close black lens bracket. Wow, no, what the hell are you doing? Yamato subconsciously uttered a girl's exclamation by the boldness of the mermaid girl Kalian. Just a moment, Yamato reacted again, and hurriedly changed to a lower and more majestic voice. Seeing Yamato's interesting reaction, the mermaid girls in the water all looked at Isho, becoming more and more sure of their inner guess. The masked brother in front of him, his real identity is. Compared with his friends in the water, at this moment, the feeling of the place fishman fish Kalian hanging on Yamato's waist with both hands is more intuitive. Even if he completely hides his original body shape with a man's wide clothes, the inside will not change in the slightest. Especially the exaggeration that the mermaid Kalian's head is leaning on now. This can't be deceived no matter what. Hey, little brother, what does it look like to wear a mask all day? Take it off quickly and let us see your true face. Flounder fishman fish Kalian's beautiful eyes blinked slightly, with a subtle smile on her pretty face. What nonsense are you talking about? A samurai never takes off his mask. Unknowingly being molested, Da now and earnestly made excuses and said. Brother Mask, don't be so inhumane, come down and play with us. Ishili, the mermaid, and Merlo, the man-fish, looked at each other, and went into battle together. One of them hugged Yamato's arm, and they were about to pull Yamato into the water and play in the water together. Wow. Yamato, who was panicking at the sudden pull, let out a coquettish cry again, and his body staggered. However, as the daughter of the strongest creature, Yamato's physical fitness is far beyond ordinary. After a while, the adjustment stabilized again. I don't like the sea very much. Even if the appearance is the most slender lotus arm, after all, it can't change the fact that horses can run on it. Pulled by Yamato's strange force. The mermaid Isoli and Merlot, who were originally in the water, were directly taken out of the water by her and hung in the air. So now it was the turn of the mermaid girls who wanted the bay to be dumbfounded. After all, they never imagined that this lame human woman who was disguised as a man in front of her had such amazing power. However, such an interesting and powerful same-sex woman, it would be great if they became friends. Mermaid Kalian and the others thought, the corners of their mouths unconsciously raised an arc, but the next moment, something unexpected happened to them. The kindness of the mermaid ladies has been accepted by me, but I'm leaving now. While Yamato was talking, he put the 3 mermaid girls hanging from his body back into the water one by one. Then he took his long legs and fled in a hurry. What an interesting human woman, huh? I don't know if I'll see you again in the future. There's another person over there, I really want to meet you too. Watching Yamato go away, the enthusiastic mermaid girls are all disappointed. Hey, Isoli, Kalian, hurry up and gather, the rest time has passed, the next is work time, hurry up and go back to the store. If it's late, Mrs. Shirley will. If you get angry, the consequences will be very serious. Flounder Fish Man greeted. Yes, here it is. The mermaid Isoli and the others responded in succession. A group of graceful mermaid girls marched in groups to the coral hill not far away. At the same time, Yamato escaped from the mermaid and returned to the coral reef where Roland was. Really, how can those mermaids do this to strangers as soon as they come up? It's too casual. Still unaware of his identity being seen through by the mermaid girls, and then being molested, Yamato spoke up. Hee. Roland Vivi Isho. What are you laughing at, Mr. Rollins? Vivi, the little face under the Yamato mask, bulged. Big and little girls, you are still far away. Roland got up and waved his hand. Yamato was stunned, and after a while, he quickly followed. Mr. Roland, where are we going next? Yamato asked. I think about it, let's go to the coffee shop for a while. It happens that I am a little interested in the prophecy manager of the coffee shop, but I don't know if she will make a prediction for my enemy. Roland grinned. Yamato. The prophecy shopkeeper and the enemy, what is this? I can't understand it at all. Chapter 646 Sensational Mermaid Cafe. Open black lens bracket for subscription. Close black lens bracket. Coral Hill, east of Fishman Island. This is a bustling port town adjacent to Mermaid Bay. In addition to a variety of magnificent coral reefs, it is also famous for mermaids. More than half of the beautiful young fish on Fishman Island choose to settle in this coral hill. Among them, the most famous is the Mermaid Cafe opened by Mrs. Shirley, which is almost every man's dream place. A famous world traveler once said that if you don't go to Fishman Island in the deep sea, if you don't go to this Mermaid Cafe, it will be a great regret in life. Seen how charming this cafe with the mermaid signboard is. The crisp doorbell rang. Roland took Yamato and pushed the door straight in. Welcome. Gave a cheerful welcome with a smile on her face. The sound of ding-dong, the young fish girls sitting on the resin bubbles in Ling's cafe turned their heads. Guests, welcome late. Ouch. Another mermaid girl with a pair of ponytails and black and white fishtail scales let out a coquettish cry, stumbling to the door, and accidentally bumped into Luo Lin. Whoops. Isili, really, what the hell are you doing? If Mrs. Shirley sees it, it's pretty awesome. The daring mermaid girl Kalian, who had molested Yamato not long ago in Mermaid Bay, had her hands on her hips and shook her head helplessly. Sorry, really sorry. The mermaid girl Isoli sincerely apologizes. I am very sorry, guest, and if there is any offense, please forgive him. Mermaid, a mermaid girl with long blue hair, also quickly apologized for her partner. Don't worry, it's okay. 4. Such a trivial matter, Luo Lin naturally wouldn't take it to heart. The guests are so gentle. Bold mermaid Kalian raised her head. Next second, her bright big eyes suddenly lit up. Because she saw the shadow hidden behind Luo Lin. It was the interesting human girl whom I met in Mermaid Bay not long ago. Came back before, they were still there. I don't know if there will be a discussion in the future. See you again if you have a chance. And, I never thought about it, but in just half an hour, they met again. This is simply the guidance of fate. Not only Kalian, but also the young fish girls such as Isoli and Milo who were also present at the time also recognized Yamato in special clothes. Immediately, there were smiles all over the charming face. Feeling the eager eyes from the mermaid girls, Yamato would not be too excited. Even seemed a little flinched between the movements, grabbing the corner of Luo Lin's clothes and trying to hide himself. It looked like she was frightened by the excessive enthusiasm of the mermaid girls. Even if she wanted to be a heroic man like Kazuki Oden from the bottom of her heart, she was still a girl physically. Influenced by the traditional concept of wanokuni, what happens to other girls is naturally excluded beyond friendship. Okay, Little Mermaid girls. Luo Lin clapped, the applause was crisp and loud, and it instantly attracted the attention of all the young fish. I want to see the manager of this cafe. I wonder if I can trouble the little girls to report it. Roland smiled. Ah. Ms. Charlie, the manager. Of course you can. The group of fish girls nodded their heads in a daze. Next second, the mermaid girls in the store all shuddered in unison, and then raised their heads one after another. All eyes fell on Luo Lin's body. The huge coffee shop fell into absolute silence in an instant. When I saw Luo Lin's face, I didn't know how many times I saw the existence in the newspapers appearing in front of me. Kalian, Isoli, Merlo, Sarah, etc., all the young fish girls in the store are petrified. Pairs of bright beautiful eyes gradually widened, and the round mouth also opened unconsciously. The delicate and pretty faces were instantly filled with extreme shock and disbelief. Ah. Yeah ah ah ah. After a long silence, in the Mermaid Cafe, the screams of the girls full of joy and excitement came one after another, one after another. You are. Is this true? Are you really? It actually happened. The legendary hero, Lord Roland. Chapter 647 The Cunning, Mrs. Charlie. Open black lens bracket for subscription close black lens bracket. You are. Hero Lord Roland. In the cafe for a long time. The name of a person, the shadow of a tree. After the Wei Sung incident, the name of the hero Roland has spread all over the world. No one knows, no one knows. Even Fishman Island in the 10,000-meter deep sea is no exception. Fishman Island is located in the deep sea, and newspaper news birds cannot fly to it. However, depending on the pirates and tourists who come and go, all the big news on the sea will be brought to Fishman Island. Among them, the Mermaid Cafe is the most well-informed. As the most famous place on Fishman Island, Mermaid Cafe welcomes many foreign tourists every day. These tourists are the main way for mermaid girls who stay at home to get news from the outside world. For the past 2 months, who come to the Mermaid Cafe will bring novel stories related to the big event and the reappearance of the legendary heroes who disappeared decades ago. Although he has never been seen, the legendary marine hero Luo Lin's reputation has long been heard like thunder. Whether it's a human or a mermaid, the minds of the young girls are all the same. Every girl dreamed of having a heroic man come to their side and accompany them all the way. Exactly. This era. The appearance of Roland and the series of feats fulfilled all the fantasies of the girls in the hearts of heroes. Today, counting the whole sea, there are already countless girls who look forward to Roland. Now the mermaid girls in the field are also in this ranks. He looks handsome and full of strength, stands at the top of the world, and is a decent hero that everyone loves. Many girls can refuse such an existence. Even if Luo Lin is a human race, these young mermaid girls will not care at all. In the past month or so, the young fish in the cafe don't know how many times they talk about heroes. Imagine when that legendary existence will be able to visit their shop. However, they also know that imagination is only after all. Such a big man, under normal circumstances, how could they be imagined by them? After all, it's just some unreal and beautiful fantasy. It should be so. But, however, fate gave them a big surprise. Just today. Right now. The hero they longed for in their hearts, the big man who stood tall and stood at the top of the world, actually appeared in front of them. Close at hand. Within reach. Like a dream, yet so real. Icily, Milo and other mermaid girls in front of them nervously raised their slender hands, landed on Roland's body, and touched them lightly. After a while. After confirming that the person in front of him was real, he quickly retracted his hand. I am so sorry, Lord Roland. Icily and the other mermaid girls bowed and apologized at a loss, for fear of leaving a bad impression on Roland. It's okay, don't worry about it. Roland had to speak again to comfort him. Then the screams of the mermaid girls who heard Roland's voice resumed. Little girls, you don't have to do what kind of work every day, why don't you go back to your post soon? How long do you want your distinguished guests to stand there? Just when the group of fish girls were still immersed in the excitement of seeing legends and heroes, a majestic female voice suddenly sounded. Hearing that familiar and majestic voice, the mermaid girls in the cafe all straightened their waists involuntarily. Yes, Mrs. Shirley. A group of fish and girls responded in unison, and then consciously retreated to both sides. Cafe back room. Dressed in an open-neck hoodie, with a hot body, a pretty, cool, iceberg-like cafe manager, Mrs. Shirley sat on the resin bubble and slowly flew over. Compared to the excitement and joy of ordinary mermaid girls, the slightly older Mrs. Shirley was more reserved and calmer. However, it was only an appearance after all. The movement of the cafe was naturally hidden from the manager Shirley. Still, back in the room, Shirley had heard the hero, Roland, etc. words from the screams of the girls. In this way, how could she not guess the identity of the person who caused the sensation now? The legendary hero Luo Lin actually came to her shop, what an honor. It took Shirley a long time to finally suppress the shock and excitement in her heart. Only in this calm attitude can he appear in front of the shop assistant girls. Beneath this seemingly calm exterior, there is a fiery heart no less than that of any mermaid girl. Mr. Luo Lin, welcome to the store, your presence really makes me look forward to the brilliance. As Mrs. Shirley spoke, she bowed respectfully. But I don't know if it was intentional or not. Mrs. Shirley on the resin bubble staggered abruptly as she bowed, and then she turned her head under the envious gazes of the mermaid girls. And fell into Luo Lin's arms. Alas! Mrs. Shirley is so crafty. Chapter 648 Top War. The Future of Whitebeard and Marine. Open black lens bracket for subscription. Close black lens bracket. The Mermaid Cafe is very lively today. Early in the morning. There are already a lot of customers coming and going in the cafe. There was a long queue outside the door. Almost all the Aborigines of Coral Hills came to hear the news. But this time, people are not here to pass the time with coffee, or to enjoy the mermaid's thoughtful service. The real reason for this sensation is naturally Roland. This is also natural. After all, the person who appears at the Mermaid Cafe is Luo Lin. This sea deserves to be the biggest heavyweight man. The opportunity to witness the legendary heroes with their own eyes is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for ordinary people like them. If you miss it, you will regret it for life. Mr. Roland, this is really incredible. Feeling the hustle and bustle of the outside world, Yamato couldn't help grinning. For the first time, it is not easy to be a beloved hero. If she were to deal with this level of enthusiasm, she would go crazy. It's all right. Roland asked casually, and calmly took a sip of the coffee prepared by the store manager, Mrs. Chiarli. Mr. Roland, if you think it's too noisy outside, I'll order someone to close the door to thank you. Mrs. Chiarli said thoughtfully and earnestly. A fishtail swept up and down unconsciously because of excitement or joy, brushing Luo Lin's calf from time to time. Lord Roland, what do you want to know? Mrs. Chiarli, who has always been as glamorous as iceberg, now had a somewhat unnatural expression on her face. Strong strength, gentle temperament, and handsome and flawless face, such a perfect man, even Mrs. Chiarli, who has a prejudice against human beings, can't help but touch a cold heart at this moment. Before the divination, I have one more thing to explain to you. Roland spoke up. What's the matter? Mrs. Chiarli's pretty face froze. A few months ago, the East Blue Kokoyasi village incident was what I did. Roland looked into Chiarli's eyes and spoke calmly. Ah. Chiarli's whole body froze, his head seemed to be hit by a heavy hammer. The incident happened in the far East Blue, and it generally did not spread to Fishman Island. But that time was an exception. Because of Shichibukai crocodile and the bad influence of Marine's dereliction of duty in the Kokoyasi village incident, the incident spread all over the world. Chiarli on Fishman Island in the 10,000-meter deep sea has also been heard. Even a hopeless brother is still her brother after all. Each other for more than 10 years, Chiarli can't help but feel sad when they hear the news of Arlong's death. In other words, your brother Arlong was killed by me. Rollins added. Why? Chiarli raised her slender hands and covered her red lips. Why are you telling me this? Because this is the hero Roland. Was not Roland who answered Chiarli, but Yamato on the side. After hearing the conversation between Roland and Chiarli, Yamato also fully realized what Roland meant by what Roland said earlier, that he was the enemy of the other party. Mr. Roland is true. As long as you don't tell the other party about this kind of thing, the other party won't know. Yamato couldn't help but complain. But it is this kind of action that speaks out, dares to act, and never deliberately conceals that as a hero. If you want to take revenge next, I welcome it at any time. Roland said lightly. Mrs. Chiarli. Yamato. For a weak woman like her, what a joke to seek revenge on a legendary hero. At this moment, Mrs. Chiarli's mood is the same as Yamato, who heard this. Compared to Yamato's force, a weak mermaid like Mrs. Chiarli's only weapon is beauty. If you really want revenge, you can only change your way of thinking. For example, entangled with Luo Lin, disturbing his life and so on. Read Mrs. Chiarli's inner thoughts. But if Mrs. Chiarli really wanted to take revenge in this way, Roland would not refuse. Wasn't because she was greedy for her body, and it wasn't because of wicked teasing. After all, it's enough to have a big and one person to tease. Roland really wanted was to find a big sister who could take care of Shirahoshi with him. And if Wei-sung could open a mermaid cafe, it would be great. Lord Roland, what would you like to see? Just as Roland was thinking about some things didn't work, the distracted Mrs. Chiarli shook her head, put her complicated thoughts behind her, and focused her attention on the crystal divination ball in front of her. Is that so? Then the little girl Chiarli will help me see the Whitebeard pirates. Roland rode. Whitebeard pirates. Hearing this, both Chiarli and Yamato in the room couldn't help but be stunned. Mr. Roland, what do you think the Whitebeard pirates are doing? Yamato asked first. Not only the Whitebeard pirates, but also Marine. I wonder if there will be a big event that will affect the times between the two parties in the near future. Chapter 649. The top is destined to repeat itself. The battle of the end of the era. Open black lens bracket for subscription. Close black lens bracket. One inadvertent flap of a tiny butterfly's wings is enough to produce an unimaginably huge change. This is the butterfly effect. 48 years ago, Luo Lin came to this world as a traveler. The direction of the pirate world changes subtly with his arrival. Roland thought everything would end prematurely with his arrival. 36 years ago, however, the Mariajoy incident caused by Roland's impulse ended everything. As Roland fell asleep, the world's automatic correction ability made everything return to its original unfolding. Roger became One Piece, King of Pirates, and started the era of great pirates with his own death. Nothing has changed. Except people's memories. This is the power of correction of the world, or the power of the trajectory of fate. Butterfly flapped its wings and changed the direction of the wind. In the dark, there is another force that is silently correcting. 36 years later. Roland woke up from his slumber, and recovered from the dead. The direction of the world has once again undergone a dramatic shift. Of the new Straw Hat Pirates and the early disintegration of the two major groups of the Four Emperors are all changes that can be seen on the bright side. Others have hidden influences. For example, the huge war in the original timeline. The all-out war between the Four Emperors' Whitebeard Pirates and Marine Headquarters repeat the Wei Sung incident again. Fire Fist Ace and Blackbeard Marshal Teach have a fateful encounter. However, in front of Blackbeard, who stole the power of the strongest zone dragon from the strongest creature Kaido of the beasts, even with the help of Marco and others, Ace still failed to leave Blackbeard. And this is the biggest danger. Now that after knowing Blackbeard's double fruit ability, even if he is impulsive and reckless like Ace, he will not be stupid enough to pursue Blackbeard's gang alone. Even if he wanted to go, Whitebeard would stop him this time. Combined with the information currently obtained by Roland, the next battle between Ace and Blackbeard will be in Wano-kuni. There is also the battlefield of the total war between the Whitebeard Pirates and the Blackbeard Pirates. No. Not just that. The elders of the Roger Pirates, such as Rayleigh and Mu Lim, have also set foot on the road to Wano-kuni. On the Wano-kuni side, the recent trend is flat. The clouds are gathering. Finally, there is Luo Lin, who has to go on a journey after all. In the near future, Wano-kuni will be the first to have a war. According to this development, in the original plot line, Blackbeard captured Fire Fist Ace in exchange for Shichibukai's position, and the road that triggered the war on the top should not appear again. However, Roland had a feeling. Some things cannot be avoided after all. The next unfolding was chaotic, and he, a half-hearted prophet, could not see clearly, so Luo Lin thought of asking Xiarli to solve the puzzle. Whitebeard and Marine, I know. Hearing Roland's request, Mrs. Xiarli nodded solemnly. Sickly pale hands fell on the crystal ball in front of him. There was an instant silence in the room. Half an hour. A fine layer of sweat appeared on Mrs. Xiarli's forehead. For a moment. Ah! With a coquettish cry, Mrs. Xiarli suddenly opened her eyes, and her delicate and pretty face showed extreme shock and shock. Mrs. Xiarli, what did you see? Yamato asked curiously. War. Mrs. Xiarli gasped. The battle of the end of the era is about to happen. Xiarli let out a panicked coquettish cry, clutching the corner of Roland's shirt tightly, like the last straw for a drowning traveler. In the end, he even curled his whole body into Luo Lin's arms, seeking a warm harbor. The battle of the end of the era. Yamato stunned and repeated a sentence. Just listening to these words, I could feel the tide of the times coming, slapping her like duckweed in the rain. Mr. Roland. Yamato looked at Roland nervously. It's okay. Roland spoke firmly. Both speaking to Yamato and comforting Xiarli, who was trembling in her arms. Let's get here first today. Roland's big hand fell on Xiarli's head. A mysterious power that was enough to calm people's hearts spread from Luo Lin's body, making the panic-stricken Xiarli gradually return to calm. Half an hour. I'm so sorry, Lord Roland, please forgive my rudeness. Mrs. Xiarli, who had settled down, nodded lightly and looked at Roland with a pitiful expression on her face. I want to say thank you. Roland said calmly. Okay, Mrs. Xiarli, you should get off Mr. Roland first. It's not good to be seen by others like this. Looking at the beauty-loving posture of Roland and Mrs. Xiarli at the moment, the big and small faces bulged unconsciously, seeming to be a little tasteful. While speaking, he also stepped forward and helped Mrs. Sharley on Roland's body. "Okay, Mr. Roland, the matter here is over, let's go and see elsewhere." Yamato took the initiative to hold Luo Lin's arm and said urgently, "Don't be so anxious, Miss Yamato, someone has come to pick us up." Roland Vivi Isho. Yamato. Just when Yamato was puzzled, there was a sudden uproar in the street outside. Fishman residents on the street became a film, as if something extraordinary was happening. Chapter 650. The top officials of the royal family of Fishman Island are here to welcome you. Open black lens bracket for subscription. Close black lens bracket. Wow, on the main street of Coral Hill, the Fishman Aboriginal people queuing outside the cafe were shocked by the uproar. That's Ryugu ship. There can be no mistake, it is definitely a phoenix boat for the royal family to travel. Why is it here? Hey, look, those are the three princes. The Shark Star Prince, the Dragon Star Prince and the Rollover Star Prince, all are here. Why did the three princes come here in person? Could it be that the princes are also for that legend? ... Ordinary civilians on the street shouted in shock. However, what shocked the Fishman even more was, "Hoi!" in the back. A loud and special whale roar came from the sky. Looking at the tall figure riding on the giant whale, the people on the street were petrified again. The expression on his face was even more incredible than when he saw the three princes before. That's Lord Neptune, the god of the sea. Lord Neptune came here in person. What the hell is the king doing? Even the king is here in person. Is it possible that a major event related to the fate of our Fishman Island will happen today? People on the street shouted in shock. Ha 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 ha, this is really lively, Dormifa. Looking at the flow of people below that almost blocked the entire street, the second Prince Longxing couldn't help shaking his head. As expected of the legendary Mr. Hero. My mother's brother, finally here. The three Prince Rollover Star happily turned a somersault. Prince Shark Star, if the people have been gathering in the street, our Phoenix boat will not be able to get off. Minister Left Catfish reported anxiously. Shark Star nodded and turned to look at the crowded crowd below. Everyone, please get out of the way. Prince Shark's shout echoed in the sky. Prince Shark, who has always been highly respected and loved by the people, opened his mouth, and the commoners naturally would not resist, and Hulula quickly gave up a large space. Thank you, everyone. Shark Star shouted his thanks, then waved his hand, and the Royal Phoenix boat hovering in the sky slowly landed. Shark Star. Neptune smiled a little. Sitting on the little whale Hoai slowly landed, and finally stopped on the street. Holding the going trident is in front, the three princes are in the back, left and right, the two ministers are at the side. The high-level officials of the Kingdom of Fishman Island all came to the scene, walked towards the Mermaid Cafe step by step, and finally stopped near the gate. The commotion on the street, the young mermaid girls in the Mermaid Cafe are impossible not to pay attention. When they saw the most honorable king of Fishman Island and the three princes standing outside the store as if they were lined up, the faces of the mermaid girls such as Isley, Merlo and others all showed nervous expressions. Girls, don't be nervous, we're just here to see that person this time. Prince Shark said with a smile, soothing the nervousness of the mermaids. Mr. Roland, is the legendary hero Mr. Roland still here? Doremi? The second Prince Longxing asked. Lord Roland's words are still here now. Isley and the other young fish girls nodded subconsciously to drink. That's really good, catch up. The three Prince Overturning Star said happily. Then let that one come out quickly. Minister Hema Wright urged. Just as the voice of Minister Hema Wright fell, footsteps sounded from the store. Clearly echoed in the ears of everyone in the room, shocking the soul. A group of fish girls who blocked the door of the store unconsciously lined up on both sides to make way. Yo, Neptune, long time no see. Roland walked calmly, stood at the door, smiled and looked at his friend a few meters away, the king of Fish-Man Island, Neptune, the great knight of the sea. Ho ho ho, Luo Lin, you're really back, gammon. Neptune couldn't hold back his excitement any longer, and laughed happily. Mr. Roland. 3 princes, left and right, the ministers and more soldiers also bowed and saluted while looking excited. Roland nodded calmly. Luo Lin, after decades of separation, you are still exactly the same as before. It's really enviable. King Neptune. You've become a lot more stable, Neptune. Roland rode. A lot has really happened. Neptune said, with a little sadness in the words. Rollins was silent. Great day, let's not talk about those. Let's go back to Dragon Palace City. Luo Lin, I have prepared a grand welcome banquet, and you should also want to see my daughter. Neptune continued. It's a shame you still remember. Roland chuckled and shook his head. It's natural. Neptune, of course. Then let's go. Chapter 651 Mermaid Princess Shirahoshi. Open black lens bracket for subscription. Close black lens bracket. The gondola, which symbolizes the royal family of Fish-Man Island, relaunched from Coral Hill Street and drifted away under the excited gazes of the people. Phoenix boat, the excited laughter of the girls were endless, and it was very lively. Except for Roland and Yamato. Charlie from the Mermaid Cafe and a group of young fish girls are also invited. Since it is a banquet, it is natural for the young and energetic girls to liven up the atmosphere. In a hurry, the Dragon Palace City just prepared the delicious food and wine for the banquet. The singing and dancing team was never in place. However, the young fish girls in the Mermaid Cafe are ready-made song and dance teams, who have already met with Roland, are indeed the best candidates. After a quarter of an hour, a magnificent, splendid bubble-floating building appeared within the sight of Luo Lin and his party. That's Ryugu Castle. Looking at the large and luxurious palace made of large coral reefs, shells and other building materials, Yamato couldn't help but be amazed. Yes, there is Dragon Palace. It's my first time going. I'm so nervous. It's all thanks to Lord Roland. Lord Luo Lin, I'm going to give you a monkey. In the cheers of the girls, the coated Phoenix boat sailed straight towards the main gate of Dragon Palace. Roland, we've arrived at Gammon. Neptune was riding on the little whale Hoai, and with a wave of his hand, the entrance to the Dragon Palace opened. Immediately after Neptune went out, all the preparations he ordered were unfolded one by one. The palace hall of the Dragon Palace City was lit up in an instant. From the main hall to the entrance, all the sea water is isolated by huge bubbles. Such a move fully demonstrates the importance Neptune attaches to Roland. If it was someone else, even if they were invited to Dragon Palace, they definitely wouldn't do this. Luo Lin looked as usual, jumped off the Dragon Palace Phoenix boat side by side with Yamato, and walked up the stairs leading to the main hall. Along the way, Yamato's eyes shone brightly, observing the corners and corners of Dragon Palace City with surprise and curiosity. For Yamato, everything here is novel. Fishman Island in the 10,000-meter deep sea, the beautiful mermaids in this Dragon Palace castle in the sky. These, all kinds of wonders, she has never seen since she was a child in the gloomy Onigashima. After a minute-long tour, the Dragon Palace City Banquet Hall has arrived. The graceful singing and dancing of the young fish girls such as Isoli, Merlot, Kalian, etc., who entered first, has already begun. The huge flounder carried Roland and Yamato, wandering slowly and leisurely. In the spacious air bubble film, there are all kinds of melon and fruit delicacies. Charlie, the female manager of the Mermaid Cafe, accompanied him personally, pouring wine for Luo Lin. Yamato is like a curious baby, lying on the soft bubble, staring at the various small fish outside, amazed again and again. Ho ho ho, Roland, let's go one more time. Neptune on the little whale on the side raised his glass happily and drank it all. After 3 rounds of drinking, Neptune's expression gradually became hazy, and the memory of the past in his mind gradually recovered, as if he had returned to the period of 40 years ago. Those were really fond years. Fishman Island was the first human ever to be accepted, and it still feels incredible to think about it now. But Roland was an incredible existence. Roran, what happened back then? Where have you been all these years? After recalling, Neptune turned his face and asked solemnly. Just got some sleep. Roland said lightly. Slept in. Neptune was stunned. It's been a long sleep, but I won't sleep again. I won't let tragedy happen again. Let everything end in this era, whether it's the era of the great pirates started by Roger, or the world government. Luo Lin stretched his waist and opened his mouth faintly. There was strong confidence in the words, and hockey popped, the wine glass in Shirley's hands, and the originally glamorous pretty face was replaced by shock. Yamato's slender hand holding the wine glass also trembled violently. Hoa hoa ho Gaiman. Neptune, who was sluggish for a moment, suddenly laughed out loud. As expected of big brother Roland, he is still as full of hockey as before. Rollover Star, we are back, Lord Father. The three-prince Rollover Star turned a somersault. Father and Father, please tell us what you are happy about, Duolamifa. The second prince Longxing swung his fish tail and swam quickly. Dragon Star, Rollover Star, is Shirahoshi here? Neptune asked happily. If Shirahoshi is concerned, it's in the back. Longxing giggled. Father King. The voice of the great Prince Sharks sounded. Father King. The last sound was a timid and weak girl's voice. Well, oh, come, the legendary mermaid princess. Shirahoshi, the huge mermaid princess not far away. Yamato stood up immediately, excited and coquettish. Chapter 652 Roland and Shirahoshi. King and King's Resonance. Open black lens bracket for subscription. Close black lens bracket. Lord Brother, is it really alright for me to leave the hard shell tower? Axe. Lord Fandadakan's axe will fly over. I will be killed. A soft and weak girl whispered from the entrance of the banquet hall. It sounded nearby. So, The happy singing and dancing in the grand banquet hall suddenly stopped. Instead, there was an uproar of surprise. That's the princess. Our Princess Shirahoshi of Fishman Island. It's really Princess Shirahoshi. Princess Shirahoshi hasn't been to Mermaid Bay since that incident 8 years ago. I thought something was wrong. It's great, Princess Shirahoshi has grown up safely, and it's really big and beautiful. ... The young fish girls living in the Mermaid Bay and the Coral Hill let out an intoxicated cry. Mermaid Princess Shirahoshi is a real mermaid in size far beyond the average mermaid girl. But in terms of age, 14-year-old Shirahoshi is the youngest sister here. More than 8 years ago, when Princess Otahime was still alive, she ran around for the future of Fishman Island. Shirahoshi, who was only 6 years old at the time, and the older 3 sharks princes also followed his mother, Otahime. After going back and forth, Shirahoshi and the princes are also acquainted with the residents of the entire Fishman Island, and there is no so-called estrangement between the royal family and the commoners. Of the cute appearance of young Shirahoshi, he is deeply loved by the people of Fishman Island, and his popularity is very high. The young fish girls in the field also played with the young Shirahoshi in the Mermaid Bay, and they are very fond of cute Shirahoshi. However, because of the major accident 8 years ago, everything changed. Princess Otahime died. Princess Shirahoshi also lives in Ryugu Castle for some reason and has not been seen for 8 years. After 8 years, I see the lovely Princess Shirahoshi again. Seeing Shirahoshi growing up healthy, these mermaid girls who treat Shirahoshi as their sister are very happy. Wow. Hearing the unison of everyone in the banquet hall, Shirahoshi's beautiful eyes suddenly turned in circles. For the first time in 8 years, I have seen so many people. How can I always be timid, even if I want to escape? Shirahoshi. Always by my sister's side. The great Prince Shaoxing hugs Shirahoshi's finger. Brother, no no no, I want to go back to rest. Shirahoshi burst into tears and wanted to cry. Shirahoshi, it's alright, you don't need to be afraid at all, look carefully, they are all the sisters from Mermaid Bay that you have seen before. Shark-Sing comforted. Shirahoshi took a closer look, and after seeing the outlines and shadows of the old mermaid girls from the grown-up girls, his inner unease finally reduced a bit. And Shirahoshi, don't you really want to meet the person that the Queen Mother used to tell us from time to time, the Queen Mother's hero? Our uncle. The great prince, Sharks, followed the path of persuasion. The big brother in the mouth of the mother-in-law. Shirahoshi lowered his head, his left and right index fingers circled, and his pretty face was full of curiosity and struggle. Okay then, I want to see you. Shirahoshi nodded weakly in response. Shirahoshi is so cute. Shark Star smiled and praised, and swam with Shirahoshi to the large flounder vehicle in the center of the banquet hall. After a minute. Father, Mr. Roland, Shirahoshi is here. Shark Star reported. Neptune nodded kindly. Father, and Shirahoshi's big watery eyes swept over his old father Neptune, and then landed on Roland in the flounder bubble. It was no longer. I couldn't take my eyes off. 4 eyes facing each other. Shirahoshi's huge body couldn't help but stop. Dark, there seemed to be some inexplicable force brushing her body, which was very comfortable. Just for a moment, her inner anxiety about walking out of the hard shell tower, and the fear of death were all dissipated. At the same time, that strange power was to hide some kind of homologous power deep in her body. Pulled out. Resonates with Roland in halibut bubble. The surrounding sea water is rippling in circles. Father, this is. Sensing the changes in the sea water, Shark Star could not help shrinking his pupils. What the hell is going on? Why did Shirahoshi suddenly stop moving and Mr. Roland? The second Prince Longxing and the third Prince Roverstar also widened their shocking eyes. Wow! King Neptune waved his hand sharply, signaling to those who wanted to speak to be quiet. This is the resonance between the king and the king. Neptune sighed with emotion. Chapter 653 Shirahoshi scared to cry. 2 princesses. Open black lens bracket for subscription close black lens bracket. 10,000 meters deep sea Fishman Island, Dragon Palace City Banquet Hall. Shirahoshi, the mermaid princess who reappeared in the world, finally met the Sea King, Roland. This is a meeting between the king and the king. This is the resonance of the power of the Sea King and the power of the Sea King. At the same time, Luo Lin, a senior who has been immersed in Neptune for decades, guided Shirahoshi, a junior. After all, Shirahoshi is still too young. Coupled with her timid, weak temper, is really too difficult for Shirahoshi to fully awaken and master the power of Poseidon, the Sea King, and become the king who commands thousands of sea kings. Now, with the guidance of Senior Luo Lin, everything will be much easier. The silence of the Dragon Palace City Banquet Hall continued for a long time. A moment. Shirahoshi's huge body trembled suddenly. Result, the mysterious power that enveloped the audience suddenly retreated like a tide. Everyone in the banquet hall felt light, and the depression that enveloped their hearts disappeared. What's going on? What happened before? Isoli and Mero were filled with confusion. This is also the doubt of Shirahoshi himself. But no wait, Shirahoshi asked aloud. Next second. A ferocious, evil face suddenly came into Shirahoshi's eyes, causing her delicate body to stagnate again. Wow, wow wow, the legendary mermaid princess, the mermaid princess who even Mr. Odin and One Piece, King of Pirates Roger had never met, was actually met by me. It's great to be able to follow Mr. Roland. Exclamation mark quote. Halibut bubble, Yamato pulled the resin bubble all over. Under the Prajna mask did not blink, and a fiery gaze fell on the mermaid princess Shirahoshi in front of her. Under Yamato's eager gaze, Shirahoshi's huge body trembled, and he hugged his arms in fear. Especially when Shirahoshi's fear sublimated further after seeing the evil ghost Prajna mask on Yamato's face. His entire body froze and couldn't move. After a while, banquet hall burst into tears, and it belonged to Shirahoshi. Shirahoshi, who has always been timid, has the courage to walk out of the hard-shell tower and meet so many unfamiliar faces. It is not easy. It was difficult for him to settle down under the power of Luo Lin, but he was suddenly so frightened by Yamato's Prajna mask. The courage he mustered collapsed in an instant. Tears welled up, twirled in the eyes, and finally turned into torrential rain, crying loudly. This scene is comparable to the unusual weather in the New World. Ah, Shirahoshi. Sister, don't cry, don't cry. Shirahoshi is not afraid. Princess Shirahoshi. Your Majesty. Princess Shirahoshi's sudden cry caused chaos in the banquet hall. Shark Star, Dragon Star, and Rollover Star hurried forward to comfort him. The young mermaid girls also screamed anxiously. However, Shirahoshi, who was completely frightened, was already embarrassed at this moment. Lord Brother, Lord Father, it's so scary, ghost. It's a ghost. Shirahoshi pointed at Yamato on the flounder and cried. Yamato. What's the situation? Why do you suddenly cry when you cry? And is this mermaid princess made of water? What an exaggerated amount of water. Yamato sighed with a bewildered expression. Was stunned by Shirahoshi's sudden cry. Miss Yamato, mask, it's your mask that scared Princess Shirahoshi. Mrs. Charlie reminded repeatedly. I heard Isoli and the others say that Miss Yamato doesn't take off her mask easily, but in this situation, please make an exception, please. Mrs. Charlie sincerely pleaded. Mask. Yamato tilted his head and immediately reacted. Oh, sorry, it's my fault. As Yamato spoke, he took off his mask without hesitation. So this time it was Mrs. Charlie's turn to be stunned. Charlie also learned Yamato's declaration that she would never take off her mask from the conversation with the mermaid girls such as Isili. But what Mrs. Charlie didn't know was that the handsome words like, samurai never take off their masks, were just random nonsense from Yamato to get out of trouble. But for now, none of these things matter. Don't cry, don't cry, Shirahoshi, look, the brothers are all here, the evil spirits are all gone, Doraemon. The second prince, Long Xing, circled around Shirahoshi. With my brothers around, the devil will never be able to get close to Shirahoshi, Red overturned. The three princes roll over the stars again and again. Shirahoshi, look carefully, there are no evil spirits, just a beautiful young lady. Seeing Yamato showing her true face, Xiaoxing, who has always regarded Yamato as a man, widened her eyes in shock. Princess Shirahoshi, I'm really sorry for scaring you. Flounder, Yamato wrapped his body in resin bubbles and swam to Shirahoshi, bewildered and comforted. Really. Looking at Yamato, the pretty young lady in front of her, Shirahoshi finally stopped crying, just sobbed slightly, looking at Yamato weakly. Princess Shirahoshi, I really didn't mean it, please forgive me. Yamato put his hands together and sincerely apologized. Nothing is wrong, I am too timid. Shirahoshi is not an unreasonable and unruly princess either. Misunderstanding is resolved, and naturally there will not be the slightest concern. Seeing Yamato's sincere apology, he felt a little sorry inside. No, it's my fault. Yamato waved his hands again and again. It was my fault. Shirahoshi insisted weakly. Onigashima and the two princesses of Fishman Island confessed their mistakes, and the scene was once very harmonious. However, at this moment, the accident happened suddenly. A double-sided giant axe with a rose printed on it suddenly passed through the bubble water curtain covering the Dragon Palace city. Rotating and heading straight towards the banquet hall, to be precise towards Shirahoshi. Be careful. Yamato let out a coquettish cry and stood in front of Shirahoshi for the first time. Chapter 654 Thunder, 4 trigrams. Open black lens bracket. Please customize the full order. Close black lens bracket. The 10,000-meter submarine volcanic area is dark all year round. A faint light flickered. It was the light from the giant lanternfish. Ada. The bald sea monster Myeonjinjian, who followed the light, stumbled and was knocked down by a rock on the bottom of the sea, and immediately vented his unhappiness at the lantern sea monster. Myeonjin Sea. At this moment, a low bass voice came from the tattered ship held by the big bald sea monster. The Flying Dutchman, the pirate ship of the legendary great pirate Vanderdecken. There are many legends left in each sea area. Even after death, it is a legend that it turned into a ghost ship, wandering in the deep sea. And the Flying Dutchman at this time is naturally not a ghost ship. Its current owner is the descendant of the original, the great pirate, Vanderdecken IX. Fishman eating a paramesha target fruit. Matsumi, haven't you replied yet? Shirahoshi's reply. Vanderdecken X continued to ask in a low voice. Well, not yet, Captain Deacon. The bald sea monster replied stupidly. It's been 9 years, and Shirahoshi hasn't come to find me who he loves. It must be because of that nasty Neptune, who locked Shirahoshi in that hard shell tower, so that the two of us who truly love each other are not allowed to see each other. Yes, and then in a year or two, Shirahoshi will be sacrificed to politics and marry those human nobles. No, forgive, absolutely not. Forgive, Shirahoshi can only belong to me alone, only I can be worthy of such a noble her, so if you can't be together no matter what, then I have to ask you to die. Shirahoshi. Ha 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 ha, today is still the usual rose axe, please convey my love to Shirahoshi. Vanderdecken laughed wildly, holding a double-sided axe with a rose pattern in both hands, and threw it in the opposite direction to Dragon Palace City. However, it didn't take long for the double-sided rose axe to turn upside down and fly straight towards its target, the hard-shell tower of Ryugu Castle where the mermaid princess Shirahoshi was located. This is the devil fruit ability of Vanderdecken, Paramesha target fruit. It can firmly lock the person who has touched it with the palm of the hand. This lock will last a lifetime as long as that imprint is not washed off. It's comfortable. See Myeonjin, let's play in the street next. That bastard Hody seems to be planning something to discuss cooperation with Uncle Ben, we have to see if he is enough. Vanderdecken X grinned Isho. At the same time, the Dragon Palace City Banquet Hall. Shirahoshi, the mermaid princess of Fishman Island, and Yamato, the princess of Onigashima, are in harmony with each other. The smile on Roland's face on the flounder's back stopped Vivi, and his line of sight saw something in the outside sky through the water curtain. It was a double-sided giant axe from the deep sea. 2 bright red blood roses are printed on both sides of the axe face. With such a giant axe, it is very difficult for ordinary people to just swing it. However, at this moment, it has straddled an unknown number of seas, swept straight in the direction of Longangchung, and it is menacing. Against common sense that an axe thrown under the weight of the 10,000-meter deep sea can fly such a long distance. With strength alone, even Roland might not be able to do it. But if it is based on the absolute power of the devil fruit, it is not difficult to understand. Luo Lin, who knows the plot, naturally does not know the origin of this double-sided giant axe. Paramesha target fruit ability, Vanderdecken IX. 8 years ago, when Princess Otahime was assassinated, he used his right hand to mark Shirahoshi's body. As long as the target is marked in advance, even the ends of the earth can be hit. This is the absoluteness of this ability. Under the mark of the ability of the target fruit, the rotating rose axe finally arrived at the Dragon Palace. Neither the tough special bubble coating nor the sea water can stop it. Flew straight towards the banquet hall, to be precise, towards Shirahoshi. The moment when the rose giant axe appeared in the banquet hall, Yamato's observation haki caught a hint of danger, and his pretty face suddenly became serious. Be careful. Yamato let out a coquettish cry, and stood in front of Shirahoshi for the first time, at the same time pulling out the mace attached to his waist. Yawa-sama. Looking at the flying rose axe and Yamato standing in front of him, Shirahoshi couldn't help but turn pale with fright. A pair of big watery eyes filled with tears again, and they were about to burst again. Damn. That bastard Vandedecken. It's so deceiving. 3 shark stars, who also recognized the source of the giant axe, roared in rage, their eyes splitting. Thundering, 4 trigrams. Yamato let out another coquettish shout, and the power of the slender lotus arm suddenly exploded, waving the mace in his hand and touching the double-sided giant axe. A bang sounded. Immediately afterwards, with the sound of clicking, crisscrossing cracks appeared on the double-sided giant axe. In the end it burst open. Chapter 655. Poor Shirahoshi. Yamato is angry. Open black lens bracket for subscription. Close black lens bracket. With a loud bang, the double-sided giant axe made of fine iron exploded under Yamato's, thundering 4 trigrams. Countless fragments were scattered with a strong shock wave. Wait, how far it spreads, it stops abruptly with a wave of Luo Lin's hand. The banquet hall returned to calm. However, people's minds are unable to calm down for a long time. It's amazing. Red rollover. Miss Yamato is so strong. Doremi. As expected of the girl by Mr. Roland's side. Of Yamato smashing the giant axe, Shaoxing, Longxing, and Rolling Star, all 3 could not help but widen their eyes in shock. It's really amazing, Miss Yamato. The young fish girls who were in a panic were also amazed and gradually relieved. Yawa-sama, thank you so much for saving my life. Shirahoshi fought back his fear and tears and thanked Yamato. No. Hearing the compliments from everyone around, Yamato scratched his head in embarrassment. It's really no big deal, Shirahoshi, you can just call me Yamato. It always feels weird to add an adult or something. Yamato laughed. However, the next second, the smile on Yamato's face froze. Because she saw the cracks in the resin bubble that wrapped her body. Her previous powerful blow shattered the axe, and at the same time, the resin bubble burst open. Ah, I can't swim. Submerged by the sea, Yamato, who was at a loss, cried out in a panic. Just then. Yamato only felt his eyes flicker. Next second. She was already back on the flounder's back. Mr. Roland, thank you. Yamato, who understood the reason, immediately gave Luo Lin a grateful hug. Yawada, no, big sister, what happened earlier? Witnessing Yamato's traveling big eyes with curiosity, his face is full of surprise. This is Mr. Roland's ability. Yamato replied with a smile. Lord Roland S. Shirahoshi glanced at Luo Lin weakly. Speaking of which, Shirahoshi, what happened to that axe and where did it come from? Could it be that there are assassins in this Ryugu castle? Yamato frowned slightly. Sister Yamato, that axe is. Shirahoshi bowed his head again, turning his index fingers in circles, feeling aggrieved and speechless. I'll explain it next. King Neptune sighed. All the causes and consequences, including Shirahoshi's deprivation of liberty, the threat of death, and the tragic experience of spending more than 8 years alone in a hard-shell tower. Princess Shirahoshi. Mrs. Shiarly looked at Shirahoshi lovingly. It's damning, that perverted bastard, Vandedecken, right? If I meet him, I'll definitely want him to look good. Yamato clenched his teeth lightly, filled with righteous indignation. Yamato, who was confined to Onigashima by Kaido when he was young, was most able to experience the pain of becoming a caged bird and losing his freedom. For Shirahoshi's experience, Yamato feels the same way, and his heart is already out of anger. However, King Neptune, aren't you the royal family of Fishman Island? Why would you allow a criminal who threatens the princess to stay here all the time? If he could have been caught earlier, wouldn't there be so much trouble? Shirahoshi doesn't need to fix it. God is terrified. Yamato asked naturally. Hearing this, Neptune and the 3 princes Shark Star, Dragon Star, and Rollover Star couldn't help but smile bitterly. Miss Yamato, it's not that we didn't catch it, it's just that we have more than enough strength to do it. The three princes Rollover Star rode. Why? Great and puzzled. The sea is so vast, Miss Yamato. The second Prince Shark Star rode. 8 years ago that, when Vandadecken first shot Shirahoshi, we wanted him all over the island, but the cunning Vandadecken had already escaped from Fishman Island. Never set foot on Fishman Island again. It is too difficult to find him in this vast sea. Boss Jinbei and I once led the Sea King's army to follow the clues, and the expedition was just one step away. It was a shame that he still slipped away. Shark sighed helplessly. It's all right, brothers and sisters. Shirahoshi pretended to be strong, and the poor little appearance was even more pitiful. It turns out to be like this. Wait, Prince Shark, you just said that. Vandadecken is not on the island, not even around the island, so that axe. How did it do it? Could the power of that bastard be comparable to that of the bastard? Are the four emperors shoulder to shoulder? Yamato, who noticed this, widened her beautiful eyes in shock. That's not, that. Vandakken's strength can only be considered average. The reason why he can find Shirahoshi accurately every time is all because of his ability, the ability of Paramesha Target Fruit. Shark replied. I see, the Paramesha Target Fruit is really a tricky ability. Yamato nodded knowingly. It was difficult for a while. Indeed, as Prince Shark Star said, the sea is really too vast, and it is thousands of times more complicated than the land. On the ground is also useless too. The deep sea. It is really hard to find someone in the vast deep sea. If anyone can do it. Yamato turned his head and looked at Roland eagerly. Chapter 656 Reveal. The real culprit in the death of Yi-Ji. Open black lens bracket for subscription, close black lens bracket. Mr. Roland, are you really willing to take action? Seeing Roland standing up, Yamato couldn't help showing joy. Mr. Roland. The great Prince Shark Star looks full of surprises. Is it really possible, please Mr. Roland? But if there is Mr. Roland's help, it's useless even if that Vandadecken escapes to the ends of the earth. The second prince, Longxing, and the third prince, Roverstar, were also overjoyed. Roland, sir. Shirahoshi tilted his head cutely and looked at Luo Lin curiously. It's all right, Shirahoshi, as long as Mr. Roland takes action, it doesn't matter. Ghosts, snakes and gods will turn into ashes. Yamato patted the bear's breast confidently, which was his confidence in Luo Lin. Shirahoshi nodded blankly. Roland. King Neptune looked at Roland with hope in his eyes. Seeing his beloved daughter suffer so many years of unfreedom, Neptune is also in pain. If it can be solved, that would be great. After many years, I came to Fishman Island again. I wanted to spend a couple of days before thinking about other things, but those jumping clowns just jumped out one after another, which is really annoying, so that's fine. Just solved it at one time. Roland spoke calmly and confidently. Sorry, Roland, for getting you into all this trouble. Neptune apologized. No. Roland shook his head. There is no need to apologize. According to the agreement of the year, Shirahoshi's affairs are also my affairs. Naturally, I have to take care of it to the end. Besides, there is another matter. What's the other thing? Neptune asked in confusion. About the death of the little girl Otoji. Roland rode. Otami. Hearing Luo Lin talking about Otoji, Neptune, Sharksing, Dragonstar, Roverstar and Shirahoshi were all silent. The always sentimental Shirahoshi once again gathered a lot of tears in his eyes. Nipton, you shouldn't have forgotten. The things I told you 10 years ago. Prophecy. Roland rode. Neptune nodded. Although it's unbelievable, Luo, your ability to predict is really accurate, just like Xiarli's divination. Neptune rode. Mrs. Xiarli. Lord Roland is actually a prophet, So why did you specifically ask her for divination? Obviously he can predict it too. Could it be? Is this a deliberate excuse to approach her? Mrs. Chiarli was suddenly upset and started a series of rich brain tricks. The other side. Neptune is also caught up in fond memories of the past. Quote. I didn't expect that I would really end up with that little girl, Otahime, who is almost 20 years younger than me by 20 years. Speaking of which, Neptune couldn't help but feel Isho. After a while, Neptune's old face showed endless loneliness again. I'm really sorry, Luo Lin, I failed to protect Itsuki. Neptune's eyes were slightly red. Not right. Roland shook his head. I should say sorry. Roland, what do you say? The future I saw back then was far more than that. In addition to your affair with Otohi and Shirahoshi, I also saw the future of Otahime's death 8 years ago. Roland rode. Is it true? Neptune was startled. It was my mistake. I thought that as long as I was there, that incident would never happen again, but I didn't expect it to be me first. I knew that I would at least give you a wake-up call. Roland smiled wryly and shook his head. No, it's not your fault, Luo Lin. Neptune waved his hands again and again. At least for now, the culprit who killed Otoji can't be allowed to go unpunished. Maybe Otoji won't agree with me to avenge her, but I also have my code of conduct. Roland sighed softly. Roran, but the human pirate who killed Otahime has now. Nipton, do you really think it was the human pirate who killed Otahime back then? Roland asked back. Could it be? Neptune suddenly widened his eyes, and a look of shock appeared on the old face. Mr. Roland, what do you mean? Could it be that there was someone else who killed my mother back then? Shark Star, Dragon Star and Rollover Star were all shocked. Shirahoshi, what's wrong with you? Yamato looked at Shirahoshi worriedly. Shirahoshi pursed his lips tightly and shook his head without saying a word. The cute little face is full of sadness, pain, and struggle. Luo Lin, please tell me who the murderer you saw in the future and who killed Itsuki. Neptune suppressed the anger in his heart and asked earnestly. Hody Jones. Roland said calmly. Chapter 657 Outrageous. Hit Fish Man Street. Open black lens bracket for subscription close black lens bracket. Hody Jones. Neptune's low roar, which suppressed the burst of anger, echoed in the banquet hall. At this moment, the sea surged with his anger. Hody Jones, the truth is like this. The human pirate from 8 years ago is just a scapegoat, and it's just that Hody wants to intensify the relationship between our fish-man family and humans. It's all that. What Hody did, it can't be forgiven, it's really unforgivable. Shark Star, Dragon Star and Rollover Star were also shocked by the truth revealed by Luo Lin to an incomparable degree. Then there was an endless anger in his heart. Duent have the slightest doubt about the truth revealed by Roland. At this moment, the second Prince Wangxing and the third Prince Overturning Star were already smoking above their heads. Even the always mature and stable Great Prince Shark Star had red eyes, and his breathing became heavier. The anger in their hearts was unstoppable. If not for the last trace of reason in their hearts, they would have erupted long ago. Father King, brothers and sisters. Shirahoshi clenched his little hands tightly and looked at his father and brother worriedly. Shirahoshi, don't be afraid, it will be fine. Yamato looked at Shirahoshi with pity. Sorry, Luo Lin, I can't accompany me at the rare reunion banquet. Neptune said in a low voice. Well, you go. Roland nodded calmly. Besides, there is one more thing I want to ask you. While we are out, Shirahoshi will ask Luo Lin to take care of you. Neptune pleaded. Don't worry. Roland rode. Shark Star, assemble the Neptune army immediately, and follow me to Fishman Street. I want to personally ask Hody what happened back then, what the truth was 9 years ago, and who was the pirate. The pirate killed or was killed by the pirate. He killed. Neptune, who had found the target of venting, regained his former sharpness, and ordered to suppress the anger in his heart. Yes, father. The great prince, Shaoxing, should drink, and brought the two princes to prepare to assemble the troops. Father, Shirahoshi also wants to go. Princess Shirahoshi spoke weakly. No, Shirahoshi, you are the safest here. Nip flatly refused. No waiting, Shirahoshi cried and begged, and he left immediately. Tick-tock, pea-sized tears burst from Shirahoshi's eyes once again. Wow. Seeing Shirahoshi crying, Yamato was at a loss. Shirahoshi don't cry, your father and brothers are just going out to do some errands and will be back soon. Yamato said lamely. However, for Shirahoshi, who loves to cry, it has no effect at all. What can I do about this, Mr. Roland, what can you say? Yamato looked at Roland for help. Cry, let her cry a lot now. Luo Lin said faintly, his eyes deep. After drinking this jar of wine, we will also set off. ... Fishman Street. This was supposed to be a shelter for the orphans of Fishman Island. But with the passage of time, especially after the death of Fishman hero Fisher Tiger, evil grows and twists here. Now, this place has turned into a dark and lawless place for the Fishmons. This little pill is really powerful. Only one can multiply a person's strength. If you eat dozens or even hundreds of them at one time, how powerful would it be? Of an ancient Oriental warrior, Dharma, the leader of the new Fishman pirate group like a frog, laughed. Ferocious drugs, the forbidden drugs of Fishman Island, can bring out the potential of human beings several times or even dozens of times. As long as they can be mass-produced, Fishman Island will be reborn under our power. Shark Fishman Joe folded his arms, sat on the sofa with a cool look, and spoke seriously. No, Captain Hody. Suddenly, a fishman stared wide-eyed and ran in the door in a panic. What a fuss is going on, is there news from Hammond? Das, the new Fishman pirate leader with a giant hammer, took the panic-stricken fishman in his hand. Captain Hody, it's not good, the Neptune army. The Neptune army is here. Come on, there's nothing to panic about. High self-esteem, said, still no one cares about him. Although he was very angry inside, he still had to pretend that nothing had happened on the surface. The leader of the team is King Neptune himself, and there are also the three princes of Shark Star, Dragon Star, and Rollover Star. They are not simply coming and leaving today, they must be doing what they want to do. The Fishman pirates said in horror. Roar. An eerie smile appeared on the face of Hody Jones, who had always maintained his composure. He grabbed a few pills from the jar next to him, stuffed them into his mouth, and swallowed them down. Hody curled up and let out a growl of pain. After a while it was back to normal. At the same time, the muscles of his arms suddenly bulged, and the originally pitch-black pupils turned into a crimson color at this moment. Little ones, go out to welcome the guests. Hody Jones grinned in a cruel lark. Chapter 658 Jinbei is also angry. Liquidate Hody Jones. Open black lens bracket for subscription. Close black lens bracket. Whoosh whoosh, in the sea water, there was a special vibration. It was caused by a group of aquatic creatures quickly cutting the sea water. King Neptune, the three princes, all of you are here today. What are you doing? I have already quit the Sea King's army. A strong fishman headed, the former Sea King army soldier Hody Jones grinned Isho, revealing a ferocious fang. Kika, the bones of the Sea King's army, what does it taste like when chewed? See, a frog-like cigar shark. Fishman, burrowed out of the hard seabed, Chika laughed. Muhei, Bodhidharma, the boss's order has not been given yet, so let's stay calm for now. Holding 8 red cherry spears, the king squid fishman Icarus rode. Neptune's knuckles of the trident in his hands, Vivi, turned white, and he suppressed the anger in his heart. King Neptune, Prince Shark. A fat blue figure quickly crossed the sea and rushed to Fishman Street. Person who came as the first master of Fishman Island, Shichibukai Hexia Jinbei. Not long ago, when I heard the news that Luo Lin arrived at Fishman Island in a Sea King class, Jinbei rushed to the border entrance as soon as possible. After arriving, I learned that Luo Lin had been invited to Dragon Palace City. Just on Jinbei's way to Dragon Palace Castle. However, Neptune and the three princes led the Sea King's army out of the island. Boss Jinbei. The great Prince Shark Star said hello. Prince Shark, King Neptune, what are you going to do? Hody, what did he do? Jinbei frowned and asked. Boss Jinbei, what you said is really hurtful. What else can I do badly? I'm also curious now that our king is not here to send condolences. Hody Jones sneered. Jinbei, you stand aside first. I just want to ask Hody Jones one thing today. Neptune said, his eyes fixed on Hody Jones, and he said silently, 8 years ago, the shot in Gelencord Plaza, was that human doing it, or was it you who fired it? Me, Hody. Ha 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 ha, it seems to be exposed. But I'm really curious, who told you this news? I don't know if it's inconvenient for you to disclose it, so that I can cut him into 8 pieces. Hody Jones said with a smile, but there was a biting chill that was as cold as winter in the smile. You bastard, how dare you? What did she do to you, Yi, to make you want to kill her? Neptune's eyes were red, and he was furious to the extreme. Hody, you really killed Princess Otoji. At this moment, Jinbei, who learned the truth, couldn't help drinking, and could no longer contain the rage in his heart. Ahahaha, Otoji is just an idiot who longs for peace and beauty. She wants to live peacefully with human beings. Don't laugh at my big teeth. A woman like her is a traitor of our Fishman clan, and you should deal with the traitor. So. Hody Jones laughed wantonly. Hody Jones, I'm going to kill you, not as a king, but as a husband to avenge Yi. Neptune's eyes were red, and his breath grew thicker and longer. Ha ha ha, try it if you can, Neptune. Hody Jones looked up and laughed. Kika, it looks like a battle is about to break out today. Dharma Fishman gave a brutal smile. Captain Hody, then, let them experience the power of our new Fishman pirates. Hammerhead Shark Fishmantos is about to throw a bag of red capsules at Hody. Hody reached out and took it, together with the bag outside. He stuffed all the red capsules into his mouth and chewed. Boom! Hody Jones felt a dull sound like the beating of war drums. Just the blink of an eye, Hody Jones' body has expanded more than a circle. His arms and thighs are layer upon layer, like a horned dragon. There is a sense of terrifying power in his gestures. That medicine is murderous medicine. Right Minister of Hema suddenly screamed, and recognized what the red capsule was that Hody was eating. National treasure, medicine that was handed down from generation to generation on their Fishman Island and sealed in a jade hand box. Taking this kind of ferocious drug will gain several times or even dozens of times the terrorist power in a short period of time. But the cost is equally heavy, and it consumes the vitality of the user. This kind of murderous medicine cannot be used unless it is the moment when Fishman Island is truly alive and dead. However, a few years ago, there was a theft in the Dragon Palace City, and it was the murderous medicine in the jade hand box that was stolen. Sure enough, that's what you did, Huodi, you even stole the murderous medicine in the jade box. Do you know what you're doing? The Minister of Left Catfish scolded angrily. Ha 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 ha, a group of old people from the kingdom, what do you know, there is such a good thing that you don't need it. If all our warriors are provided with this kind of medicine, what should human beings be afraid of? What Marine Admiral, what 4 emperors, what will be our opponent? Hody Jones laughed complacently. Hody, do you know this kind of? The Minister of Left Catfish was interrupted by Hody before he could finish speaking. Nipton, since you took the initiative to send it to your door today, then we are welcome. All of you are going to die here today, and the Fishman Island in the future can be safely handed over to our new Fishman pirates. Hody Jones laughed with blood-red eyes. Chapter 659 The Promised Ship Arc Noah, Start. Open black lens bracket for subscription. Close black lens bracket. Swish, in the dark sea water, a vacuum waterway appeared. That's a phenomenon caused by Hoti moving at a speed invisible to the naked eye. Kang. Neptune holds a trident to block laterally. With a soft clang, Hoti Jones, who disappeared, appeared and took a step back. On the other hand, Neptune retreated more than tens of meters under the shock of Hoti Jones, relying on the skyrocketing force of the fierce medicine. Ha 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 ha, what, the great knight of the sea is really vulnerable. Hoti Jones laughed proudly. Father King. Shark Star, Dragon Star, Rollover Star 3 all rushed to Neptune's side nervously. Hoti, you are really hopeless, and now I won't persuade me to say anything. Jinbei suppressed his anger and drank in a low voice. Right foot took a step forward, the waist sank, and the fighting posture was ready. Hey, is Jinbei boss next? Everyone says you're the #1 master of Fishman Island, but that's because they're too ignorant and don't even know how powerful the medicine is. Now I'm the real one. The #1 expert of the Fishman clan, even you can't win. Halfway through his words, Hoti Jones stopped abruptly. Fishman Karate, 5,000 watts of Jungchen. Jinbei let out a low growl. A terrifying spiral blast rushed out of his fist. Before Hoti Jones didn't even realize it, he was thrown out. Eyes popped, mouth wide open, and blood sprayed. The power obtained by relying on foreign objects is completely hypocritical. The profound meaning of Fishman Karate, have you forgotten all, Hoti? Jinbei frowned coldly. Cough cough. Hoti Jones crawled out of the ruins under the sea, coughing up a few mouthfuls of blood in pain. Where is the power between hypocrisy and truth? I will be injured by you, but I am not strong enough. I need to be stronger, more murderous medicine. Hoti Jones seemed to be in a state of madness, and in the horrified eyes of his subordinate Fishman, he kept swallowing a large amount of murderous medicine. Boom, was centered on Hoti Jones, and the seawater suddenly swayed into a circle of ripples. His originally pitch-black short hair grew in an instant, and then quickly turned to a grayish-white color, like a twilight old man. Figure doubled in an instant, and the flesh jumped and swelled like a living creature. Since Boss Hoti has taken the lead, then we can't be left behind, chica. Fishman pirates led by Hoti Jones are all grinning isho. Then he grabbed a lot of red capsules from their pockets and swallowed them desperately. In order to gain great power in a short period of time. Under the stimulation of the murderous medicine, the combat power of the new Fishman pirates has grown exponentially. Hoti Jones was even able to briefly go head-to-head with Jinbei. Under the attack of such a ferocious new Fishman pirate group, even the elites of the Sea King army were unable to resist. Forced to go backwards for a while. Blood stained the dark deep sea. At the same time, Noah, the giant ark on the back of Fishman Street. Fishman wrapped in resin bubbles hummed a little tune and wandered with ease. His eyes stared at the bloody battlefield not far away. The sight under the brim of the hat reveals frenzy, excitement and madness. Fight, fight, fight to your heart's content. It's best to lose both, and all to die. In that case, Fishman Island will be my uncle's territory in the future, Shirahoshi. Shirahoshi can finally be reunited with me, no need to be full. Suffering from lovesickness, he. The target fruit ability person, Van Daken X laughed recklessly and wildly. Hey, Captain Van Daken, shall we take this opportunity to pick up Princess Shirahoshi from Fishman Island? The bald sea monster Watatsumi suggested. This proposal is really good, but I really don't want to miss the big show in front of me. Vanda Decken IX's embarrassed whisper. Captain, then again, this boat is really big. It's the first time I've seen such a big boat. How many lanternfish can it take to pull it? The bald sea monster Matsumi exclaimed. This ship, I remember it seems to be the ship of promise, Ark Noah. Vanda Decken X recalled. What's the deal? Asked the bald sea monster. Of course it's my love promise with Shirahoshi. Van de Decken imagined it for granted. Ah, I thought about it. After a while, Van der Decken seemed to have thought of something, and a look of excitement appeared on his face. Captain, what did you think of? The bald head asked in cooperation with the sea monster. So far, my love has not been able to convey to Shirahoshi. It must be because my gift is not enough. Precious. In this case, let me give Shirahoshi the heaviest gift today. Van de Decken took off the glove of his right hand and landed on the deck of Noah's Ark. Go, Ark Noah, take my uncle's love to Shirahoshi's side, this is the future kingdom of me and Shirahoshi. Van de Decken laughed wildly. Target fruit ability, launch. Rumbling, submarine earthquake. Chapter 660 The Ark is coming. The end of Fishman Island. Open black lens bracket for subscription. Close black lens bracket. Blood stained the deep sea. Fishman screams one after another. Not only the Sea King army led by Neptune, but also the new Fishman pirates under Haughty Jones. Stimulated by the murderous medicine, the overall strength of the new Fishman pirates has risen to a new level. Even once the well-trained Fishman Island's first elite force, the Sea King army was completely suppressed. However, the reason why the medicine is the medicine is the medicine. It is because of the huge side effects that come with it. Except for the relatively powerful new Fishman pirate cadres, the general Fishman street can't bear the backlash from the poison at all. After the initial surge in strength and overdraft, without the need for others to take action, his body is swallowed by the side effects of the murderous medicine. 7 orifices bleed, screaming and falling to the bottom of the sea. Enough is enough, Hody, look at your subordinates, this is the horror of the murderous medicine, if you continue to take it, their fate will be a lesson for you, don't make senseless resistance, surrender. Jinbei shouted lowly. Ha 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 ha, Jinbei, are you afraid of me now? Hody Jones grinned Isho, revealing a set of blood-colored fangs. They will die just because they are too weak. The weak should die, but I am different. I am destined to be the strongest. Hody Jones' arrogant way. Kika, Captain Hody, don't talk nonsense with them, hurry up and kill them all. New Fishman pirates, grinned and revealed a ferocious fang. Then, Hody Jones's ruthless Isho, about to order the general attack. However, at this moment, a sudden change occurred. The sea suddenly shook violently. Sea swelled and the earth trembled. Under the horrified gazes of the Fishmans, the huge Oath Ark, half the size of Fishman Island, has been silent for hundreds of years and has almost become an ark decorated by Fishman Street Noah. It was activated at this moment by some unknown force. Buildings all over Fishman Street were connected by the tremor, and the Fishmans among them screamed in panic. What the hell is going on? Who gave the power to the Ark Noah? It's impossible. Neptune's complexion instantly changed greatly, and he cried out loudly. Father, look at Noah's direction. The second Prince Longxing shouted anxiously. In that direction, is it possible that it will land on Fishman Island? Fishman Island will be destroyed. The 3 princes rollover exclaimed. Hody, is this another good thing you did? You are crazy, hurry up and stop Noah. The always steady Prince Sharkstar lost his temper for the first time and roared loudly. Ha 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 ha, underscore 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 underscore. Hody Jones raised his head and laughed, his blood-red pupils turned strangely. God helps me, Neptune, today is destined to be the end of your Neptune royal family. From now on this new Fishman Island will be ruled by my lord Hody, the little ones, follow Noah to witness Neptune. The end of Princeton's reign. Hody Jones shouted wildly. Damn, the whole army returns to help and protect Fishman Island. Neptune roared unwillingly, and led the remaining Sea King army back to Fishman Island quickly. The distance between Fishman Street and the main island of Fishman is not far. Even though the Ark Noah moved slowly, it didn't take long for him to reach the sky above Fishman Island. The huge bow slowly sank in the direction of Dragon Palace Castle. Crash! The thick iron chain first broke through the bubble wrap of Fishman Island and landed on the ground. Between the drags, wreak horrific havoc on the land of Fishman Island. On Fishman Island, whether it is Fishman or humans, they all stared at Noah, who was slowly falling. His body trembled uncontrollably from fear. Why the hell is this? Why? Noah of Fishman Street, why move that ship? There shouldn't be any power. What the hell is the power of that? ... People screamed and collapsed, feeling the end of the day. If Noah is really crushed, even if it is Fishman who can breathe freely in the sea, there will never be more than half of them who can survive. Not to mention that the humans on the island will inevitably be wiped out. The entire Fishman Island was instantly shrouded in the shadow of extinction. Despair spreads rapidly. At the same time, Dragon Palace City. Luo Lin left Ryugu Castle with Yamato and the mermaid princess Shirahoshi sitting on the back of the shark Mekaro. Ark Noah had already appeared above their heads. Luo Lin raised his head and looked at the falling Ark Noah. His face was as cold as frost. Hee, I haven't come to find you yet, but you. Come to the door on your own initiative.